KPMG has published results from a survey called Consumers and Convergence. The consulting company asked respondents a wide range of questions, such as whether they have used mobile devices for banking or to make purchases over the internet. Yvonne Odette is the national leader of KPMG's IT advisory services in Toronto.
The survey covered most of the major nations around the world. We had 5,697 respondents, 300 of which were Canadian. The data was normalized to look at the distribution of mobile users across the countries. So Canada, for example, represents 1% of the global market for mobile usage, so that data was normalized. The data's accuracy is plus or minus 5.7%, 95%.
KPMG found more than half the Canadians surveyed said they were concerned about security and privacy when using mobile services.
What we're hearing a lot is this notion of transparency, and transparency in the context of consumers want to be aware of how certain personal information is used, what safeguards are in place with the use of personal information. So for example, using external validation services such as Web Trust Seal, which is some of the services that KPMG provides, for example, and having some of those policies reviewed through credible sources, and also making sure that some of those policies adhere to some of the privacy and security laws that we have in
Odette said security, or lack thereof, depends on the application that you're using.
Mechanisms and controls would come from the application or service that they're actually using, whether that's a mobile device or personal computer. The carrier, I think, some of the demands that the consumers have is more around reliability and availability. An example there would be, for example, this summer my spouse and I were looking for data services so we can actually connect back to the office. And we found that the wireless device was a great way of doing that. And the coverage is actually increasing quite dramatically in this country. So we're fortunate.
One concern Canadians said they had was with the use of Global Positioning System satellites, or GPS, for location-based services on their mobile devices.
The study does articulate the fact that there is concerns around some of the uses surrounding GPS, for example. And what we're finding as well is there's a greater awareness amongst the consumer base and a better understanding around how information is used and the ability to actually have the choice to select which services they choose to make available is another area that continues to evolve.
KPMG noticed the answers from Canadians were different from consumers in other countries.
Yeah, what we're finding in some of the countries such as India that don't have as sophisticated of landline services or wired internet services tend to rely on their mobile devices much more than some of the G7 countries, for example, or G8 countries. So that is one of the key underlying factors, I would say, that where Canadians are much more used to using their personal computer, for example, to do some of those functions, online banking or online purchases and so on. We are, however, seeing year-over-year growth in the various age groups and some of the more traditional PC-based services such as online banking and retailing. Though not dramatic, I would say that the Canadian group of consumers are ahead of the US, for example, which just shows that the trend is increasing. And the individuals or consumers carry their mobile devices with them all the time. So as it becomes more usable to actually perform some of those functions on a mobile device, you'll see an increase in usage there as well across online shopping and banking, for example.